Welcome our viewers to another episode of Achievements, where we highlight the inspiring journey of individuals who make a positive impact in their respective fields. I'm your host Abdul Latif Al-Hanazi, and I'll be taking you through this episode, so stay tuned after this report.
A successful identity is built on things a person has done. Your most important accomplishments are a very important way for you to measure your success. Colleagues, competitors, and the general public can look at a person's achievements to figure out how successful they are. Most of the time, putting in a lot of work pays off. Most people think a successful life is one of a lot of things to be proud of. When you finish a task, you win over problems or other people. Achieve means to work together to reach a hard and challenging goal. Everyone should be ready to help out and work together if they need to. There are many ways to reach your goal, but in the end, it's up to you to decide how it will pay out in your life. In their careers, some people want to get rich and will be well known. Some people think that even small victories are reasons to have a party. We are all different, so we all have our own thoughts on everything. In the end, though, everyone wants to be happy, and everything you do in life will help you to get closer to that ultimate goal.
Welcome back our viewers. Today we have the pleasure of featuring Fatma Al-Awadi, an experienced English instructor, joining us. Welcome Fatma and thank you for being here with us at Achievements. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Abdul Latif, and I'm very excited about this interview.
Me too. So Fatma, can we get from the first steps, what initially inspired you to become as an English instructor after the 15 years of experience, mashallah?
Well, this is a bit odd, but I never wanted to become an instructor. I was so into history, archaeology, and anthropology. But I had certain skills where I translated for my friends and my coworkers, and a lot of people were trying to get me into programs to facilitate the transition from one language to another. And then I thought, why not? Let me go get into this, language field. And because I knew how to speak English and because I knew how to translate.
Fluently, you know how to speak it, mashallah.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I thought, why not get a degree and then pursue this, academically. And that's how I became an English instructor.
Well, I think it's really special. And so how is it going with you? Is it going good so far?
Oh, I love it. Once I made my mind about, trying to explain to people, to different people, the difference in learning languages. You can learn a subject, Abdul Latif. You can learn history. But language, you cannot just learn it as a subject. You need to practice it. And that's where most people fail. I mean, not fail, this is a big word.
They forget it sometimes.
They forget it,
yeah.
Right? And then they would be like, Miss Fatma, I tried this, I tried that. And I was like, how many times have you tried it? Are you trying it, every week, constantly speaking and reading? And they're like, no, I did it only 1 month at one, institute, and that's it. And I was like, nope, that's not how languages work.
You have to go there.
Exactly.
You have to practice it. You have to talk to a lot of people.
Yes.
Have fun.
And we know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is actually how I get it. At the first time before I become a TV presenter, I tried to go there. I tried to learn the language because before that I actually got it from movies.
Oh, yes.
And it was a little bit like 60 to 40% from teaching.
Right.
Okay. The subject here in Kuwait. So when I went there, it was a whole different experience. Yes, exactly. Did you get your experience from here in Kuwait or from there?
Actually, I was the same as your experience. First, it's movies and songs and,
Songs,
watching
lyrics.
TV. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you would read the back of the cassette where they came, that's cassette, we're talking.
Yeah, the old one.
Or
okay.
the CDs, right? And then you would read the lyrics, and that's how I started learning English. In my family, we cherish languages and we really take care of, the education part. And that's how I started learning English, and then I started perfecting the accent, how to pronounce things, and I did it on my own, of course, with the help of a lot of sources. And you know what made it perfect?
What?
When I started my conversation with people. When you start talking, that's when your language develops. If you only sit there and receive the information, you're not going to develop your language.
Yeah.
You need to produce instead of just sitting and receiving. So you need to listen and then repeat and talk and speak.
Okay, I think that I'm gonna let Fatma even train me more and more to become how
don't
to
need-
talk English better and better. Because sometimes I need it. I'm not gonna lie. So Fatma, can you tell us how do you tell us this teaching and trying to approach this teaching methods to other trainers, because other individuals, because not all of them requires the same techniques. I mean, they are different. How do you do that?
Exactly. You actually said it. That was the answer. Not every individual responds to your method. So what I do is, for example, I want to teach a conversation class. I would get the students together and I would talk to them on the first day, and from there I would create a curriculum for them, for these students. You have sometimes students who are very advanced in speaking, but they're not so advanced in reading. And most of them are like that, for example. You have other groups who are so advanced in reading and understanding, but then it's very hard for them and difficult to speak or to pronounce. So I need to look at everyone and then tailor this curriculum that I have to what they need. I can't just come and force you, okay, Abdul Latif,
Of an
you're a
old method
student,
that you
and
have.
yes, exactly. It's not one method. It has to be tailored to the group that you're teaching.
Wow, that's really special. I mean, this is like cooking.
It is like cooking,
Yeah.
yes. Some
Is
people
that-
prefer more salt. You know, people who have some diseases, you wouldn't put sugar or you wouldn't put salt. It's all
You had
tailored.
to put some honey
Yes.
if they need it. Okay.
Exactly.
So you have an experience in more than better also than English teaching. You're also in business, translation. So how do you try and balance between all of these diverse roles, especially since you have, mashallah, you have more than one field your career. How do you balance all of these roles?
So all of these fields come down to English as a language. My business is based on English, and
Even
as
business
any,
support?
I'm sorry.
Even business support and social media that you had?
Yes, on social media, what I do is I try to spread the English learning techniques, and you know how it's so easy to learn English if you just forget about grammar. And I had a lot of people who did not agree with me on that one. I got to tell you.
Why?
Because they're like, all our lives we've been studying grammar. How come you come here and say you don't need to study it? You actually don't need to study grammar for the first few
I didn't
levels.
understand it when I was studying it. Actually, I got it by practicing. Seriously.
Exactly. So you need to speak English or learn English as a first language, not as a second language. So you don't rely on grammar, you rely on practice. And for business, as we've mentioned, if I want my students to come to my courses and they actually come to me and they pay, right? If I'm not good enough as an instructor, I'm not going to have business. So guess what? I need to develop my teaching skills. I need to develop the methods that I teach with in order to get more students and get more business.
And this is more examples of your social media videos that you had on your Instagram, right?
Yes, the Colonel one, it was very famous because you pronounce it as Colonel, but it's written Colonel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because it was Latin and it used to be, you know, French, and then it came to Spanish, and then when we borrowed it in English, it became Colonel, but we kept the spelling.
Well, I think it's really special, Fatma. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie. So, Fatma, you've hosted a live TV shows. You've also give online courses, social media videos, like we are seeing. And mashallah, congratulations, you are going so on fire.
Thank you very much.
On your career. So, can you share with us some of the most memorable moments that you had on your journey?
Yes, and as a TV presenter yourself, I'm gonna share this one with you.
Okay.
So I was hosting a live TV show, and on one episode, because it's live, you know, you cannot make mistakes, right? I mispronounced a word in English, and it was a very simple word, but I think I was stuttering, and then I laughed, and I pronounced it again, and I apologized. All of this was just in a matter of seconds. And after I was done, I asked the director, I was like, did I do well? What was that? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you
and
do
he's
that.
like, yeah. And then he was like, no, don't worry, you handled it very well. And then I thought, even if you were very good at your language, even as a first language, if we're
Sometimes it's
trying to
better.
take, yes, exactly. It's not about the language, it's more about the situation. So I want to share this tip with everyone who's trying to speak English.
Give us, please.
If you think that you're not good enough, it's not about the language or you don't understand. Sometimes it's because you're confused, you're tired, you know, the situation is not, you know, you don't like it. It's
Overthinking.
not, yes, overthinking.
On the moment.
Yeah, we all
it
make
happens to me a lot.
mistakes. We all make these simple mistakes when we're speaking, even in our first language. So it's not about you not understanding English. Don't jump into that conclusion. You need to try and practice and become better at it.
Yeah, and actually for many times I start a little bit, I say some bad words and I go directly to Ali, the director. Ali,
Yes.
did I do well? Ali, is there something happened? He said every time, he said, oh, you did good, you did good. Well, thanks
That's
to Ali.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So as an content creator and editor at the Ministry of Information, as a colleague, of course, how do you ensure the accuracy of your work?
Okay, so accuracy comes from excessive research.
Okay,
I need
how
to
can I
go-
share that?
If, for example, I'm talking about the history of Dubai, okay?
Okay.
I can't just go and make something up. I can't rely on what my friends are saying or what, you know, the people around me are saying. I need to go and research it thoroughly and professionally. I need to go and ask the professionals, and I need to go back to the sources. It's not just, you know, you go on the internet on a search engine and you type something and you take it from there. You have to know if this is the correct piece of information that you're putting into the media. You know us in media, we can't put false information, you know, it will cause a lot of problems.
You have to triple check.
Exactly. So that's what I do. For content creating, I need to do the same thing. Even on my Instagram, I need to do the same thing. I can't just come and say, hey, you know this word, don't pronounce it like this, pronounce it like that. Maybe some accents, you pronounce it like this.
Some accent, you pronounce it in another way.
In a different way.
Yeah.
Like the word almond and almond. They're all almond, but they're pronounced differently. Some people
It's
would
not
think...
wrong.
I'm sorry?
It's not wrong, right?
No, a lot of people, and even in the States, you know, you have the southern states, you have the northern states, they're different when they're speaking, you know, in the accent, when they're pronouncing it. So you have to check, is it wrong? Is it difficult? Is it, you know? But here's one example. When you say comfortable, you know?
Comfortable.
Yes.
Some people say comfortable.
Some people say
Pronounce the
comfortable.
R a
Yes.
little bit.
Yes, exactly. But a lot of my students would say comfortable. And here I know this is,
Comfortable.
yes, so
Okay.
here I know that this is incorrect, and I would tell them, you know what, this is not part of any accent, it's actually incorrect to pronounce it. And why? Because I checked for a fact, I know that this is not the way we pronounce it. So for accuracy, you need to do your research and you need to go thoroughly with your research.
I thought that English instructing wasn't that hard. But while you are saying it, I think it's really hard and it's a huge responsibility, Fatma.
It is a responsibility. There you go. That's the one. It's a responsibility because I don't want to teach a false piece of information. You know, maybe someone will hear it from me and they would go on and teach someone else, and that would be my fault because I said it, you know, wrong. And I would suggest for other teachers to check and to verify. And it's not wrong to check or verify. You're not doing anything wrong. I know a lot of people get shy and they're not confident enough, but you need to ask to get the right information. And that's how you know you're teaching the correct information.
I think it's really good when you say it this way. Actually, I thought for a long time to have an English instructor before to get better pronunciation, better grammar, and then I said to myself, well, I think it's better just to go there and to have the experience, to live the experience. And I stayed in New York for a long time. So
That's how you get, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
You noticed the New Yorker
Yeah,
accent?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, thank you for that. So collaborating with production on your work, on your show, I think it's really essential. How do you ensure that the teamwork, and how do you try as possible as you can to make it happen in a good way with your team?
Okay, so Abdulatif, you of all people, you know the answer to this one?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Exactly. So when I want to collaborate or someone wants me to collaborate with them, what I do is I leave all bits and pieces of pride aside. And I believe that they know better than I do, or we can share some knowledge. I would never go and say, I know this, I don't need to learn it.
I am the best, I don't need your advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
especially
they
in
should,
media. In media, you need to go and ask around, you need to know, how they do it, and you can't just come up with a method yourself. You have to ask your manager, your coworkers. Sometimes the coworkers that are in the same position as you are know more than you do. So you need to ask around. It's not wrong to ask. You're not, as we say in Arabic, you're not going to get lost if you ask.
Who asks never get lost.
Yes, whoever asks never gets lost. Yes, exactly.
Of course, Fatma, we have more questions, but for you, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our show after this report, so stay tuned.
Fatma Al-Awadi is an experienced English instructor with more than 15 years of teaching English. She offers a practical approach and specialized curricula for individuals and corporates. Fatma is also skilled in translation, business support, ESL teaching, and social media. Fatma manages to stay committed into making English education accessible to diverse individuals. Some of Fatma's experiences as an editor, content creator, TV host, and voice-over narrator at the Ministry of Information. She has hosted a live talk show while making smooth discussions on current events and entertainment with diverse guests. Certainly, Fatma holds a special and unique talent. In addition, Fatma also conducts thorough research for well-informed interviews and discussions. She has collaborated with production staff for smooth show execution. Fatma has also had experience in the Public Authority for Applied Education and Training. She experienced working as an English instructor and trainer. She has taught graduate and beginner classes for the English department, including Custom Trainees Department. During her work at the PAAET, Fatma also developed engaging lesson plans using communicative teaching methods and real-life scenarios. Fatma has also spent most of her time working as a freelance English and language instructor. She helps others who are willing to learn the English language and supports them in many ways. Fatma is a freelance language instructor that offers several languages such as French, English, Arabic, and beginner Spanish. Fatma, you are assuredly talented in your special way. It is really appreciated that the help you provide for others and your continuous support. Keep up the great work.
Welcome back, our viewers, as we continue our interview with our guest, Fatma Al-Awadi. Welcome back, Fatma.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Fatma, can you tell us, as an English instructor in the Applied Education, Public Authority for Applied Education, can you share with us some of the most memorable moments and the experience that you had in there?
Yes, actually it was very good and it was very rewarding. I learned a lot from working there, even though I was working there part-timer. However, I think I stumbled into a lot of challenges when it came to writing tests. You have to create tests for your students. And for me, it's not that I don't like writing tests, it's just that my method of teaching was always based on practical methods.
Yeah.
I would talk to you and force you to come back and talk to me. So what I did was I had to write tests for them, and then I would be like, this person, they did not learn English very well, but their test says otherwise. I didn't know how to manage between the written tests and the oral tests.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I failed the most. But it was very rewarding and I learned a lot. I needed to teach more than 40 or 80 students, different classes. And I needed to remember
really hard.
Yeah, it is. And I applaud whoever works there. It's really difficult. It's not easy.
Yeah, being a doctor at the university or college, I think it's really hard because
It is.
not all of your students can take the same method, as we just mentioned before in this interview. They are different.
They are.
So yeah, and having more than 80, how can I balance
Yes.
with them? How can I stay? So I have to do the most rewarding or the best method, and I could share it with them.
Yes, and
think
as
it's
we
really
said, as we've mentioned before, you can't just force them on one method because a lot of students respond to you when they see pictures or when they see something written on the board. A lot of other students would respond to you if they can just listen to you and hear your voice. So you need to find the balance of all these. However, what I liked the most was that most of these students were employed.
Employed.
Yes, so these were because I taught the night classes,
Yeah.
and most of them were employees, and I think we understood one another. It was there was a certain dynamic, in the method I was teaching.
More mature.
Yes,
if I may
they
say.
were. Yes,
Yeah.
so they didn't come to play; they came here to study.
Not
so, yeah.
forced. They actually
Yes.
came out of to come out with something.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
that's actually,
Yeah.
I think it's made it easier for you, right?
Yeah, so much easier. Yeah.
So developing and engaging lessons to your students. You gave some online classes. You gave at the Public Authority of Applied Education. I think it's really special. How do you ensure to give the perfect environment lessons to your students?
Okay, so we go
Do you
back.
start with a joke? I need to say that. Do you start with a joke?
No, but for example, I would make sure they get out of the class while they know a piece of information that they've never heard of. This one piece of information I usually say, once I get into class, I go like, okay, so now we're gonna get into English learning. However, did you know that English is actually the cousin of German? And they'd be like, you mean German language? I'd say yes, because English is Germanic. So English and German, they come from the same family tree.
Okay.
Yes, and then I would start saying water, Wasser in German. And
So they are cousins.
They are. If you say, for example, what is that? You can say in German, was ist das? It's almost the same.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they're not 100% the same, but they are almost the same. And we have a lot of borrowed words from German, like kindergarten, for example. Kinder is kid.
Yeah.
Garten is garden. So it's the kid's garden, the kindergarten that we know.
Well,
It's
I didn't
German.
know that.
And then,
Seriously.
And once I get their attention, that's when I start the class.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
I'm not very good at
it's really
jokes,
special.
so that's why I do this.
No, you should start with a joke. I think it's really special. I need to start with a joke. I've always imagined myself if I became, a teacher,
Yeah.
at the university.
Oh,
I
you would
start
be a
with
fun
joke.
teacher. Yes, you
Yeah.
would be a very fun teacher.
Thank you.
I'm
In a good
I'm
way?
the boring kind.
No, you actually the perfect in work. You give them like, if I would give them like in 10 lessons, they would get something like, let's say 100% from you. In 10 lessons, they will get like 200% of what they can get. Because mashallah,
Hopefully.
Fatma, you
Thank
have
you.
the talent of giving the nice, and your way of teaching methods. I think it's really special because I've seen your Instagram as soon as I heard that we have Fatma Al-Awadi as our guest. I've seen your Instagram, I've taken a look at it. Mashallah, you're special with it.
Oh, thank you very much. It takes years to practice
It
to
takes.
reach a certain level of teaching English or to perfect any job, not just teaching English. It's at any job, yeah.
So you've actually teaching more than not only English, right?
No, I teach basic French and Spanish. I also teach Arabic for non-Arab speakers.
So how do you approach teaching multiple languages at the same time, and how do you know the specific needs?
Okay, so we're going to start by knowing the difference between a beginner, like from zero, and someone who has been exposed to the language before. I have a lot of students and employees who come to me and they say, Miss Fatma, we would like to learn English from zero because we're beginners. And I'd say, okay, A, B, C, and they'd be like, no, we know A, B, C. We know 1, 2, 3. And I'd go like, really? Because that's not a beginner. If you know A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3, you're not a beginner. You're more than a beginner. I know you're not advanced, but you know certain words, you know certain phrases. So you're not a complete beginner. A beginner is someone who doesn't know the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s.
Don't know
So-
the alphabet.
Exactly. So, for example, if I say let's teach you Spanish, the way I do it is
Well, I'm beginner with that.
I'm sorry.
I'm beginner with that.
You're big. Okay.
I
So
don't know
so
anything.
for example, we start with you producing sounds and a sentence. For example, let's say yo puedo hablar español. Can you repeat that? Yo puedo hablar español. Go ahead.
Yo
Puedo
hablar
español.
español.
Now
I
I
cannot say
can.
that.
No, you're doing great. Now I can speak Spanish. That's what you said. Look, you're very excited, right? Now you're eager to learn more, right? I'm not going to come in and go like, okay, A, B, C. I'm not going to do that. I need to get you excited about learning, and then I would start. Now let's go for the
Can you-
alphabets.
Can you can you give it to me one more time?
Yes, yo puedo hablar español, or
Yo puedo
hablar español.
hablar español.
Yes.
I said
No.
that I don't know how to speak in Spanish.
No, you said I can speak Spanish.
I can speak Spanish.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we're going to trick them. And then you would for example change the word or the verb hablar to, for example, aprender, which is learn. I know how to learn Spanish. Yo puedo aprender español.
Yo puedo aprender español.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, I don't think you're a beginner. I think you've learned Spanish before.
I don't know the alphabet. I don't know it actually.
So once you get excited and everyone talks around and they're like, I just achieved something. I just said something in Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Or ¿cómo está usted? And something like that. Then I would get into the serious lesson. And this is all about getting the attention of the student. It's very important. It's not just for kids. Even adults need to get, you need to get their attention. Even adults, yeah.
Well, I think it's really special. So how do you make sure to deliver the knowledge and to make sure that every individual's got that information? Because for a lot of individuals, a lot of trainees, you try to give them the knowledge, try to make them get it, like just for me. Okay, you cannot do that with 80 students, right?
No, well, when I teach in small groups of students. For my courses, I usually take 7 students maximum.
Okay.
And 7 students, so you can focus on all of them for, let's say, a period of 1 month. In 1 month, I can teach 7 students in a better quality than teaching, for example, 20 students in 1 month. It's always about quality, not quantity.
This is what I'm about to say, actually.
Yes.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Because Fatma, mashallah, you have the good commitment to teach and to help a lot of people. And I think it's really special.
Thank you.
But can you tell us exactly what motivates you to continuously trying to help other people? Because you've could to give like an online course to a 40 person, okay, and get a lot of money, but you didn't seek for the money, you seek for the help. So what motivated you to do that on the beginning?
You actually strive and look forward to the good quality in anything. Clothes, bags, shoes, cars, in anything.
Yeah.
Any service, you want the best quality. And that's why a lot of people would go back to restaurants or hotels right? Because they know the quality of this place. That's what I thought. In teaching English, you need to understand the student and communicate with them. I can't just go around telling them, this is how you do it, learn it, and then leave. I'm not gonna see them again. But I have students who I've been teaching since, for example, they were semi-beginners or mid-level, and now they're advanced levels.
They were like me in Spanish when you just started giving
Exactly. And now they're very advanced in English. And one of them is a good friend of mine. She had a 4.5 in IELTS. I think you know IELTS and TOEFL. She had a 4.5 in IELTS, and then she achieved a 7 in IELTS. That means, she really took my advice, and she was trying to study hard, and I was trying to encourage her. I wouldn't be able to do that if I had a lot of students. That's why I take small classes and small numbers.
That's a good way to ensure the quality.
Yes.
Because of we tried many teachers in our journey, of course, at anything, either at sports or languages or anything. You try to make sure that your coach or your teacher is actually one of the best and loves what they are doing. Because if I don't love it, if I do it only for money, then
Yeah,
it won't
the
be
quality part
yeah.
will disappear.
Yeah, exactly, will disappear. So what's your aspiration in the future and your goals in regard of your career?
Actually, my goal is to teach the students only once a certain part of the language teaching. I want the students to learn how they can practice on their own. You don't need to go to a teacher every single time. You need to go to a teacher if you want to enhance some part of your communication skills, or in English, in a language.
Yeah.
But you don't need to go to a teacher once you know how to read and write. You can just practice at home. And then, maybe next year you can go to another teacher or another group of students who are speaking together and join conversation classes.
Yeah.
I want my students and everyone else, who wants to learn English, to know that you can teach yourself. Self-learning is actually better than the teacher giving you the lesson, because self-learning, this is internal. And once you learn something that you came up with, once you recognize something and let's say the conclusion,
Yeah.
once you know it, it's better than someone coming to you and telling you this is blue, this is
Get
red.
it by yourself, it's more special.
Exactly.
And you memorize it more
You
and more.
will, yes, it will stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so self-learning is better than a teacher teaching you. That's what I want students to learn.
Thank you, Fatma. Thank you for the wonderful interview. I don't actually believe it that 30 minutes has passed away already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, our episode had come to an end. Do you have one quick advice to our viewers before we finish?
Yes, if you are at the beginner levels, don't study grammar. Just go for practicing. Learn how to listen and repeat, and leave the grammar for the advanced levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatma. Thank you, Fatma, for sharing your inspiring journey on your language education with us today. Your commitment to teaching and supporting learners is truly commendable, and we wish you continued success on your endeavors. To you, our dear viewers, thank you for joining us at this episode of Achievements. We hope Fatma's story has inspired you to embrace the power of education and the language learning. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories in the future. We will see you tomorrow, and goodbye for now.